Hi there, I'm JD and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be cleaning this very beautiful, very old 21 jewel Illinois pocket watch, Springfield, Illinois. In the back you can see the factory that made this watch. And as I said in an earlier video, it's a size 16 21 jewel watch. Really low run quality on this thing. It's a 1200 run quality with a total production of 6100, which is super low production. It's got this cool false center bridge, so the bridge that holds the escapement and the seconds wheel in is actually, there's a fake bridge that's just down below, so it looks like there's two fingers that are sticking out, and there's a gap, but actually that gap goes down and then there's a bridge underneath it. So, and it's if you look at this right here, this is what it is right there. So that's the fake bridge right there. So when you look at that from the top, it looks like it's two separate fingers that are supporting it, but it's not. It's one finger. So today I'm going to clean this pocket watch. This is the one with 4 jewel problems. So, and I've logged it all in my little book here that I have. And there's 4 jewels, 2 upper jewels, the center and the intermediate wheel upper jewel need to be replaced, and the lower escapement and the lower, I believe the actually lower balance jewel also, I got to look at that, and also needs to be replaced. So I'm going to take some of the caps off of these two so to have a better look at it, and then get right on with the cleaning of this watch, and perhaps have a chat about life and pursuit of happiness and all that stuff. So COVID lockdown right now up here in Canada. It's a 28-day lockdown that started on Saturday. It's currently Monday. So we got, what's 28 days minus 2? You think 26 days? I have a book on math that I just recently got. So I did lots of math in my ute. So tons of math actually. Way beyond calculus. And I just got to say one thing before I start this cleaning episode here, is that the word calculus is now being used on television news reporting, where like CNN will say, what is the calculus of that situation? Or we need to determine what calculus they were thinking of when they were doing this. Well, stop doing that, you artsy fartsies out there. Calculus is math, and it is used to determine the areas of objects that are not linear. So an area with wavy waves like that, and you want to figure out the area below, you actually use calculus to do that. So anyway, I haven't done calculus in a lot of years, but I can still do from 0 to 2 pi x dx, x squared dx. There you go, that's my calculus. So anyway, this is a beautiful watch that needs quite a lot of repair work. So Old Hippie shout out to Old Hippie for contacting me, and also to Nickel Silver, who gave me some great advice on replacing or dealing with the repair of that gold jewel setting in the previous watch, Bori's watch. This is Ed's watch we're working on right now, and I had some crazy ideas about how to do this, and actually Nickel Silver gave me some better ideas on how to do that, and so did Old Hippie, and he kind of said, what, you don't have any gold laying around where you can make a setting? I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think this is 14 karat gold, but I don't have 14 karat gold rods where I can just pump out a setting. So maybe that's the next thing I buy, right? Anyway, so there's that. This watch also needs a new dial foot. One of the dial feet is feetses. Anyway, there's a toe missing off the dial foot. And I've got to solder a dial foot on, so I went and blew some money this morning, and I've bought myself a dial foot soldering machine coming from Vietnam, right? So looks like it's a pretty good machine. There's a lot of great compliments on the machine, but it's basically a giant transformer that's just going to take your normal 120 out of the wall and turn it into, I think, 160 with 2 amps. So it's going to just blast that dial foot right onto that watch face. So this could be interesting. I'll make a video on actually how to use that machine, but I'm going to test the crap out of it. I got a lot of base spare dials here, as you can see, and I actually have this one's missing 2 of the dial feet, so And these are just watch dials that I've had from other watches and stuff. So I'll practice my buns off on these dials before I go and touch anybody's watch that we care about. The other thing I'm going to talk about in this video that I know I'm going to talk about because I cheated, okay? Here's what I did. I did the video first and then I made this part after. So I actually know what I'm going to talk about. It's like I've been there already. So it's a Back to the Future is what we're talking about right now. So I have a flux capacitor. 20,000 gigawatts, Marty. 20,000 gigawatts. Anyway, I've got a flux capacitor that helps me with watch repair. So I am, I forgot what I was going to talk about. The dial repair. So I'm going to do the dial repair. Plus, on this dial, we have a couple of pieces of enamel missing, and I'll be just talking about that for a few minutes. But I plan on just filling that up with enamel paint that I have, and it's very, very fine work. I get pretty damn close to do this properly, but it works quite well. And what you do is you layer it. So you put the paint in and into these cracks, and then you let it dry, and then you put more layers on it, and more layers and more layers until it gets kind of flush. What I'm not sure about is how to do the finishing at the very bottom end of that. So the other thing is it's not in the video, but I'm going to go downstairs where I have a new buffing machine, and I'm going to see if I can buff the crap out of this and make it look a lot better. So this is actually 14 karat gold, so you don't want to remove too much material from this. I don't believe that this will go to base metal. I've already buffed this up, and this is as much as I'm going to buff it because I don't want to remove any gold from it. I just wanted to, basically I polished it as opposed to buffed it. So I just wanted to remove enough so that it looks better. So, and I know it's 14 karat gold because when I look in that case, there's a little symbol there and it says 14K right there. So it's 14 karat white gold. So anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of casework later on today, get that sorted out. Plus I need to deal with this mainspring. Do I replace it? It's not really that set when I look at it. And it's a modern mainspring. It's not an old mainspring. So, and it's really not that set, although the owner said that the jeweler shortened it to use it because it had broken. Well, you can shorten it, but if you're going to shorten it by, like, if you're just going to snip off this here and then make a hole right here, it's not going to make much difference in the strength of this mainspring and the length of time the mainspring will actually power the wheel, right? So because you're going to get probably about 6 turns on a mainspring on the barrel, 6 turns on the barrel, and that translates to X amount of turns on the final gears and the balance. So shortening it by like a quarter of an inch or even an inch to take that off might take about maybe 20 minutes max off of that spring, right? Out of a 24-hour period, or maybe 48 hours. I'm not sure how long these things will run for, but anyway, it's if you're able to get the pocket watch to run for 2 days, I think that's pretty long actually, 48 hours. I think a pocket watch will run for 24 hours successfully. So that's why you wake up in the morning, you wind your watch and put it in your pocket. So they're not meant to run for 2 days. That's modern watches that are 40-hour watches. Or I had that 8-day watch, pocket watch that I repaired quite a while ago, the Hebdomus 8-day watch, which is pretty good. I have 2 of those actually. And they will run for 8 days, but the whole back of the watch is a mainspring. Like the whole damn thing is a mainspring, so that's why it runs so long. So this mainspring looks like it's in pretty darn good condition. It's not really set. If this were set, it would be all spiraled in right here. It wouldn't widen out like this. It wouldn't widen like that. It's a bit sprung in here, but this goes right into the barrel and away you go. So I don't know if there's any value to trying to find a new mainspring for this when the current one might work. What I might do is just when I fix the jewel issues, put the whole darn thing together, set it with the mainspring, see how well it works, and if the mainspring isn't giving it enough power, then I change the mainspring, right? Which would make more sense than to try to source another mainspring before I know that this one has got a problem. Because this looks like a fairly modern mainspring, but modern might be in the 80s maybe, I don't know. But it doesn't look like it's corroded or there's any problems with the mainspring. Anyway, so we're going to dive into this watch cleaning. Again, when I do these videos, like it's Watch My Service. I'm doing these, and they've helped a lot of watchmakers, beginners, to deal with various watch problems. I'm a hobbyist, so I get a lot of help from guys like I said, like guys like Old Hippie or Nickel Silver, or some of these guys that are on, or even Mark, the king of watchmaking, who basically runs the watch repair talk.com site. I think this is his site. He also has educational videos. I took the watch diagnostics course from him, and I scored 97%. I'm just saying, 97%. Probably the highest mark I got. Even in university, I never would get that high a mark, I don't think. Maybe in electronics. Anyway, so Mark has helped me over the years as well. So these guys are great. So watchrepairtalk.com. Go on that blog. Ask your questions. JDM there, one of the administrators of the blog. Did I get his right name? JMD or JDM? I think it's JDM. Anyway, he got pissed off at me because I was putting my questions in the wrong section. I put the question in the general help section when it was actually, I was asking about how to use these Bergeon tools, and these are basically, as it says, they're cutters, double cutters. So for countersinking. And I asked them, like, what exactly do you do with these things anyway? Because there's 6 of them, and there's all different sizes of these things. So, and I had a set that I acquired from. I got a lot of tools from a guy. I did some work for him on watches, and he traded me off with some tools. So and you can never have too many tools. So anyway, that's it. So let's get on with the video and stop talking, and I'll see you later. And again, just before I stop, so if you need to get a hold of me, it's at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. And I do like making these videos. I enjoy it. I'm a bit of a ham. Like I said, I play guitar, and I used to do comedy when I was in university years medium and media to communicate with the fellow watchmakers out there, and to help, and you guys help me all the time too. So you can never learn enough in this world of watchmaking. So have fun, watch the video, and now I'm going to shut up. Watch this. 1, 2, 3. .com. All right, welcome back to my channel. So right now I'm going to clean this Illinois. It's a very old Illinois pocket watch. And I do my cleaning by hand using lighter fluid. And this pocket watch has had a number of problems. Mainly there's a lot of jewel issues. Everywhere you see a red dot there is where I need to replace a jewel. One thing I might try at a later date is try to do some pressed in jewels. I was having a chat with some guys online, and one of the guys who's Nickel Silver, who's been at this game his whole life probably, he recommended that if I've got a jewel in a setting, and it's a repair, not a complete restoration, which means restoring it to its original condition, then you can do the repair by doing a pressed in jewel on one of these watches, and use a modern jewel rather than these old jewels, which are in a lot of cases tapered olive shaped, right? So, which can be very difficult to find these jewels. So I think for this one though, I've got a boatload of settings that I might be able to find the settings needed. So as you can see down below here, there's where these red dots are 2 of the jewel settings that need to be dealt with. One of them here is for the escapement, I believe, is right here, because this is a 1, 2, 3. So first wheel is the mainspring. The second wheel is the center wheel, and then the third wheel is the intermediate wheel, and the upper needs to be replaced on that one. And then the fourth is the second hand, and this is in the hunter position. And then the fifth is the escapement, and it's cracked. And then I have to look at the condition of the balance and the wheel in there to see, whether there's an issue there with that. So I'm going to dig into that and see if I need to replace that as well. So plenty of stuff to be done on this watch. I didn't think there was that much of a challenge, but the gentleman I talked to said that, I asked him, I said, so when's the last time you had it cleaned? I think he said it was like It was clean when he bought it or something, or it was in the early 80s. And I think it was the last time he'd done anything with it was in the 80s. So I figured maybe he had it worked on in 2005 or something like that. So this watch has never been really serviced. That's why it's hurting bad and requiring some TLC, because it is definitely hurting bad. So I need to put double watch paper down here so I can. I think I might run out of the watch paper. I only have 1,000 sheets here, so that's 1,000 more than most people. Anyway, so a lot of jeweling work to be done in this watch. It's got some problems there, so I'm going to attack that and see if I can't solve the jeweling problems. I need to put my glove on though, because I'm going to be touching this stuff and I don't want to get lighter fluid on me. So I need to put my glove on. And how am I going to do this? Because I'm wearing a mask right now. I'm going to have to lower the mask and then Bugs Bunny the glove. There we go. You guys have to be a certain age to understand what Bugs Bunny the glove means. And I know that when Bugs Bunny, he went, basically he went to the casino, I think, and there was Yosemite Sam was there. Oh no, there was a big guy there. What was his name? It was, anyways, the guy stole his money. He said, "I'll put your money right here, maybe right here." And he had the fold-away stand, or fold-up stand. He put his big chunk of gold that he found, that Bugs Bunny found, on the stand through the portable kind of a kissing booth kind of stand, and then he rode away in his donkey or his mule. So I don't know why they gave him a mule, but he was a big guy and a mule. So he rode away in his mule, and Bugs Bunny was pissed off. So he ended up going to this guy's gambling casino that he started. And like, I'm rubbing out the red dots. It's okay. I know which ones are bad. This jewel here is bad. This jewel here is bad. So I wrote it down in my book. So anyway, so Bugs Bunny, he went there, and the guy says, "How do you play this game?" Or Bugs said, "Hey, Doc, how do you play this game?" The guy said, "Well, the guy with the biggest hand wins." And then Bugs Bunny took his glove out and he went boom, and he blew it up. It's a big rubber glove, and it was a huge hand. He says, "So do I win?" And the guy yelled at him. So anyway, I was a kid when I watched that, so my brother and I used to love watching the Bugs Bunny. And nowadays, I don't know if you're allowed watching it because it's so violent. It's so violent. I don't know. If you look at the I'm going to criticize for a second, which I normally don't do, but if you look at TV shows that are out there now, even all the Marvel action hero shows, people are getting their heads blown up. They're getting all kinds of things happening to them. And the kids are watching all this, and it's got to affect them. So what I saw was Bugs Bunny. And it was a cartoon, so you didn't even kind of relate it to humans. Just so you knew it was a cartoon character. So you never related it to humans having this issue. But somehow, I'll say Hollywood, but television and movie productions have been able to get away with some pretty violent movies, and you can't hold kids back from watching these movies just because you say that it's R or it's not recommended for children or whatever. Because nowadays, a lot of the parents are basically latchkey parents. And the kids are kind of on their own a bit, and because of that, because both parents are working, not that that's an issue, but because both parents are working, the kid is kind of left on his own, his or her own, to deal with how to entertain themselves. So they've got the super violent video games that also don't help, right? Where they're super violent and they're very realistic. And that's affecting their minds. That's warping their minds. And then they have the they could watch Netflix or TV shows, and you know, they may ask them, "Are you an adult?" And the kid's going, "Yeah, I'm an adult. I'm an adult." It's just like when my son was skipping school once when he was a kid. Now he's old, and he has kids. He's skipping school, and And the teacher said, he called the house and said, "Hey, Peter," that's his name. He said, "Hey, Peter, I'd like to speak to Peter's dad." And Peter said, "I am my dad." And then the teacher went, "Wait a second now. I think there's something going on here." So, and he said, "Peter, get your butt back in school." Peter went, "Okay." So anyway, it was pretty funny. "I am my dad." I think because he was pretending he was me, and he was like, "Yes," with a low voice. This is Dad here. This is JD here. What would you like?" The teacher's like, "Yeah, right. Is this Peter's dad?" "Yes, this is. I am my dad. This is my dad." Anyway, so my kids watch some stuff there on TV as well. And I think Fright Night was the only one that I let them watch that was kind of iffy, but it was vampires and stuff, so it wasn't that bad. This is the chat whilst cleaning, by the way. This is called the chat whilst cleaning. And I've done the cleaning videos a jillion times. Is my thing not focused anymore? What the heck is going on? How did that become unfocused? I apologize. The chat whilst cleaning. There we go. A little more focused. Apologize for that. Hopefully there isn't a whole video of fuzziness. That way you can listen to what I'm saying here. So anyway, that was the old days, and now they have regulations about TV and stuff like that, but the parents still have to pay attention to the regulation. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. So if you've got kids watching TV and the parent's not around to watch them, then the kid's pretty much going to watch whatever they want to watch. Now, there are very good parents out there, and there are very good parents that will control the amount of television and media that a kid has. You can't isolate or insulate them too much, because they have to grow up, and their friends will be watching all this stuff. But my point was that back in my day, Bugs Bunny was about as violent as it got. So, and I don't know about you, but I don't think Bugs Bunny is that violent. I thought it was pretty funny, actually. And I remember when I was really small, they had El Kabong, which was a show. The spring. How do you get the spring out? How do I get the top off of this thing? Do I have to push it down? No, there's the lid there. So yeah, El Kabong was the worst thing there, where this guy had a guitar and he'd hit people over the head with it. So that was El Kabong. So that was not that dangerous or critical either. So back in the day. So I don't know whether you guys want to comment on any of that stuff, but this looks stuck. No, to throw that into the wash here. So he said that the watchmaker shortened the spring on this, but it doesn't look like it's shortened. It looks like it's off a bit, but not shortened. Do I need to take a picture of this? I don't think I do. There's only one way it can go. Oh, actually, it's got a T-bar in it, so I better take a quick picture, because if it's got that little T-bar, you could put it in the other way. Although I've gotten smarter over the years, and I don't typically have the which way does the spring go problem that I had when I was younger. It's not affecting me as much, which is a wonderful thing. Get out the old cellular phone and take a picture. There we go. I'm wearing my Blue Angels watch. It's not an automatic watch, but it's a pretty cool watch. And let's just see if it picked up. Nope, it didn't pick up the signal, so it might be off by 0.5 of a second today. And the reason I'm wearing my Blue Angels watch is that I changed the tires on my wife's car today. So the winter tires are now off and the summer tires are now on. So a complete tire swap. A lot of gump on this stuff, on this particular barrel. A lot of gump. Gump, is that the right word? Gunk? Anyway, so the owner said that the the watch, he'd wind it and it would only last for a day or two. And I think that what he didn't know was that when you wind a pocket watch, it usually only lasts for a day or two, maybe two if you're lucky. But usually people wound the watch in the morning and it would last for the day. It's not like the watches now that you get at least 40 hours out of a watch if it's winding, just sitting there. And most of them are automatic, except for some of the very high-end watches where they don't have enough real estate in the watch to make it automatic, or self-winding, I should say. So I think I need to have a chat with him, because these watches, basically, they were only meant to go for like a day. So, but he is going to be giving this watch to his grandchildren, I believe, when he ends up not wanting them anymore for whatever terrible reason, right? So it's so they're going to be gifted. So I'm cleaning these plates up first, because the next thing I got to do is jewel hunting. So I do have a lot of jewels and settings and stuff like that, and I have actually installed jewels into existing settings before. It's a little trickier. I've actually made jewel setting before, which is also trickier. And I make sure I get all this stuff cleaned. I found out, turns out I got like a boatload of these dial washers. I thought I only had like a couple of dial washers, but I got tons of them. Do I need to focus again? Oh my God! I think it's my eyeballs. Anyway, it turns out I have a lot of dial washers that I didn't know about, because I have a whole complement of different size dial washers in a case. I need to do some stock taking. I need to, just like you do, and I need to basically check out my inventory and see what I have. My wife said, "Oh, I got some news for you if you're watching this video and you enjoy my videos." This morning I bought a machine that will allow me to solder on dial feet. So I'm not making any money at this business. I'm just I wouldn't call it a business. I'd call it a hobby, because, as my wife also said, it's not a business unless you can actually say you're making any money. So if I keep buying tools with any money I've made to become a better watchmaker, then I'm really not running a business. So, and if I was running a business, wouldn't probably work so fast or so slow at doing this stuff. I'd be worried about just bum rushing the stuff through. And not doing I'd be worried about doing like 2 or 3 watches a day, or 4 watches a day, that kind of thing. But I'm not. People send me their pocket watch. I usually get to know them a little bit first, and I do the work on the pocket watch, and I put way more hours in that I get paid for, because I want to do a good job, and I have another job right now where I have enough income that I'm not worried about it. So that's the story. It's funny, I always take a picture of this, because for some reason, I know there's only one way it can go, but I hate when I reassemble it, I go, all right, was this way? Was there a bevel there that I need to deal with? And you might as well use the technology you got, right? So take a little picture of that, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's documenting the movement. Someone was going to repair a watch and asked me, they couldn't find a manual for it. And I said, well, just disassemble it in a logical order, and then you're going to be able to and take photos as you disassemble it, and just reassemble it using the photos. Now, you can do it using a video, but I recommend using photos, because you can be recording a video, and at the very end, for some reason, the video file is corrupt. This happened to me before, and I had to buy some software to basically decorrupt the file, so build it back together again. And then it was an MPEG file. So when you take photos, you don't have to worry about that. The photo's the photo. So don't use a video to reconstruct the watch and play it backwards. I did that only once. It worked, but if you lose the file, it gets corrupt. then you're screwed, and you'll be really pissed off if that happens, right? So I'd like to do a shout out to a few people here. I'd like to do a shout out to Bun Special, who has been adding a few comments in my YouTube videos. And he's a guy that I've followed and follow still for many, many years. He's an exceptional watchmaker and a lot of fun to watch. And Mr. Bun, I think. Anyway, he's given me some nice comments and some advice stuff online. And so just a shout out to Bun Special for going to my site. And then I'd like to thank Nickel Silver, who's a member of WatchRepairTalk.com, for providing me some excellent advice in this recent jeweling issue I'm addressing. And that jeweling issue, I'm going to stop and start my recording so I don't lose it all, just like I just said. So that jeweling issue that I have is that I've got that gold setting, and I've got a jewel, and it takes a 30/160 jewel, so the whole diameter is 0.30 millimeters, and the outer diameter is 160, so it's 30/160, and I want to make sure that this jewel, I'm going to do the palette fork here, so I'm going to shut up and start focusing and start concentrating here, because with the palette fork I like to do it quickly, and although the word is out that the shellac on the palette fork won't be screwed up by lighter fluid, you're best off to take one of these jobby doohickeys and then get that thing as dry as fast as possible so you don't screw it up. Anyway, the dilemma I have is I've got this gold setting, right? There's not enough material on the gold setting to re-burnish the jewel in once I get that jewel. And like I said, it requires a 30/160, so I'm a bit screwed. What I could do, and I don't want to do it until I know I can find another setting, is I could take that jewel, and I could take the setting, and Nickel Silver said, it depends, but you could friction fit in another jewel, like a modern jewel, like a seized jewel, and and that friction fit jewel would, like, you wouldn't see it from the top, you'd see it from the bottom, right? So I could friction fit in a jewel and see what happens. Let me just pay attention to what I'm doing here. So I'm going to pull this spring out nice and carefully. Like I said to you guys before, I got the long finger and thumbnails here, which really help for this. But I don't want to lose the arbor. The arbor is just sort of sitting there, so I'm going to walk this out. These are the times when autofocus would be really handy. So I'm just walking the spring out, and the spring looks, it doesn't look too bad. It's not like completely set, which is good. I'll stretch it back the other way, but it actually doesn't look that bad. So the gentleman said that it was that the previous jeweler shortened it, but I don't know. I'll have to look at this and see if that's been shortened. He said it's been shortened though, and I'll see if I can find a spring. I got like a ton of springs. Anyway, so plan A was to get a new jewel and put the jewel in the setting and then burnish it back in. I noticed that when I popped the jewel out of the setting, that the gold material that flaps over the back of the jewel, right, to keep it in, was broken on one side. So someone commented to me and said, when you remove a jewel from a setting like that, you should just crack the jewel so that you don't ruin the burnishing on the outside. And I was like, and I said, that's not a bad idea. It's in no book you can read. Every book says that you should just push the jewel out using your seized jeweling tool very carefully, pop it out, and it won't ruin the burnishing. But it did in this case. It kind of cracked one side of the burnishing. So there was, as far as I knew, no other way of getting that jewel out. And even cracking the jewel, how the hell do you do that? I gotta put on my Bugs Bunny glove again here. So cracking the jewel might damage the. You'd have to be so careful cracking it. You could damage the jewel setting itself by doing that. So I don't know whether that is even recommended, because it would still be very difficult to get that jewel out, even if you cracked it. So the first thing was to get a jewel and then figure out how to put it in. Now, what I also thought is I would undercut that setting, right, to make a new lip, right? So I've done that before. I've made a lip to burnish in on a setting, because I've made a setting before a few times actually, and it's not easy, but it's doable. So let me see. I'm gonna, like I always do, I'm gonna just tackle this case a little bit here, and I also want to shine this up a bit. I want to go downstairs where I have my polishing machine and polish this case up so it looks brand new. So that was plan A, to do that, to burnish the setting. So plan B was I was able to source a upper plate for a Waltham made ball pocket watch from a gentleman, and I'm negotiating the price of the upper plate so I can get the complete upper plate. Just buy the whole darn thing, and that would then I wouldn't I just replace the jewel with setting. So I asked him if that jewel is okay, so he's going to check that jewel. So if that jewel and the plate is no good, then it's not much use for me doing that, and I'll be back to plan A again, which is replacing that jewel. I'm a little nervous about taking a setting and playing with it. So doing a cut to allow me to have new burnishing material would work, but I'd have to size down the jewel, so I'd have to make the jewel a little lower. So is this diagram time? Is this I can sense this could be diagram time. Let me see, hold on. Do I have any more? I use my back of my business cards for diagrams. I'll use this bent card here. So this is diagram time, ladies and gentlemen. So let me focus my diagram. I'm going to put a witness mark on here just so I can make sure that it's focused properly. And move that over and then focus on that witness mark. Alright, so there we go. So, and I'm going to use a big black pen. Let me see, my jewel pen, my green one, my black one. Okay, so here's my problem. So here's what plan A was going to be. So I'll just draw plan A over here. So there's a setting like this, and it bevels a bit like I showed you before. And these are side views of the setting, right? And there's the setting on this side, and it bevels inward, and then the setting goes out like this, and it's gold. It's very nice. And the jewel would pluck, and there's just a little tiny bit of material on the outside to fold over that setting, right? So I'm gonna, is this right? Yeah, like that, something like that, right? And that's the top of the setting. And the jewel would be in here. So I need to, there's the setting there. So the jewel would go into here. So my challenge is, and even a new jewel going in here would go down like that, and then there'd be a little oil dip, and then over like that, and then fit in. So that's the 3160 jewel. I showed you that in a previous video, but so my challenge here is that one of these sides here is kind of pooped up, and if you look at 360 degrees, there's probably about 60 degrees of no burnishing material, and it's so thin. This gold that they put in here when they manufactured this was so thin. So the thought I had was get rid of gold here, just get rid of it all together, and then cut in right here. So to make a slice right here, and then make a slice on the other side right here, and then I would have to lower the jewel height just a bit, and then I'd be able to take this material right there, this, and then fold it inward on top of the new jewel would be like this, right? And I'd have to take a little bit of material off of the jewel, and then fold it down like that, and then the jewel would work. So that's kind of the plan I think it would work, right? And then nickel silver, the guy online said, hey, you know, you probably can't see this from the top, but if you have the jewel like this, right, and then it tapers up like this, and it still has that little part there that you know, basically holds the jewel in place so it doesn't go through. So you got like this. I gotta have the taper right here. So there's the jewel setting like that. And he said, well, why don't you just, and there's like, this is like a curve. So this is curved. And he said, if you take basically ream this out, right? So ream this out completely. Draw with my red pen here. So you ream this out so it's all the way through, and then ream the edges here, the corners, and just make it square. Excuse me. And then you can friction fit this jewel into the hole. You just need to get rid of this part right here. So you just need to, so right in there, right there. On the inside, get rid of that rounded part, take a modern jewel, and friction fit the thing in. So that would be kind of reaming out the setting, and these settings are small, okay? These are micro settings, so, and it's just so you can see it. Well, my parts are drying. I'm going to show you what the setting looks like. The stupid case I have for these watches that I have, you can't friggin' lift it up. Once you have this thing on the desk, good luck trying to get it up. You have to put it on the edge of a desk. So this is the size of the setting that we're talking about, folks. That's the size of it. So this here would be modified. That's the top of it. And it's actually a gorgeous setting. But that would be modified then on the, I'd have to turn this way and then ream that out to be a perfect size to fit a modern jewel. So square out the shoulders and then friction fit that in here. So that's a tricky job, but doable. It's also a tricky job to cut in like this and then fold that over. And I'd have to have a look at my gravers to see if I could do that, because I got the 2mm round graver that might do it, or 2mm flat. I don't believe I have the 2mm triangle graver that I can cut the edges off there and do that. So I think friction fitting a jewel in there would be probably easier than trying to create the bevel to fold over, right? To create a new flap here, to take that flap like this and fold it over, as I said here, which would be reducing the size of the jewel and then creating the flap. So plenty of challenges with the jeweling, and that's not even on this watch. So this watch I'm going to be hunting for a number of jewel settings, and settings complete, and if I can't find one of the jewel settings, then I've got to do some jewel replacing within the setting, which is like I said, a whole other challenge. So that's that. Can I get this arbor out here? I got to remove the arbor. This arbor is like wrapped around this thing so tight. I may wash it while in place. Nah, that's stupid. I got to take this arbor out and deal with it, or just leave it the way it is and oil it on the sides, because it's not dirty. So I need to take that out. Oh man, I hate having to do good work. This thing is squeezed around the spring, so the jeweler who did this work, I don't know, that doesn't look like it wants to come out. I'm going to deal with this later. Yeah, deal with it later. When in doubt, deal with it later. If I can find another spring though, because he said the spring was shortened in the past. And it may not be the right strength for this particular watch, so I can figure out what the strength needs to be in the spring. I'll just see if I can spec it. Anyway, so that's my diagram, and that's what I need to deal with. I also, for this watch, I asked him whether he wants me to deal with this here. So this is a ceramic bezel. So it's metal on this side, and there's the leg that's missing that I've got to find another one, and I got my soldering kit coming in. in the mail. So that ran me $300 and some to $350 for that kit. Anyway, very expensive but good quality. And I've got a gap here and a gap here. Now before, I've taken this particular face here was full of those gaps, just loaded with them. You can't see it unless you get the right shine on this thing, but you can see it a little higher there in the center. But what I used enamel paint, right? And when you put the watch together and let me show you what the paint is. Oh my God. Ceramic paint. This stuff. And when you put the watch together, and you got to shake it really well because there's oil and stuff like that in it. Shake the crap out of it. This does a great job. It looks just like it's lacquered finish. It's ceramic white, and it looks exactly like the ceramic on these old pocket watches. So I could clean this up and then put a couple drops of paint on it. And what I've done is I've put very small drops of paint on it and then let it dry, and then keep adding drops, and I do it over a couple days. So this looks like pretty. You can get this from Amazon actually, and it's probably a lot easier to do than trying to do it with real ceramic paste or whatever. I haven't tried that one yet. Maybe I will. But I think that'll look a lot better than what this looks like now, because this looks pretty grubby. But I'm going to clean this up with some Rodico. I don't ever throw a watch dial. There's dirt in there. Don't ever throw a watch dial like this into lighter fluid, because those numbers may take a ride on the reading railroad. Those numbers will be gone. So I got a ring here. I got the outer movement ring that I want to clean as well. So anyway, don't do that, because I'll be very mad at you. I could call you up and give you shit. So anyway, where are my tweezers? Always keep your parts out of your way. It's the best advice I can give you. That when you're doing watch work, I said it every video, I tell you this. Keep your parts away from you so they don't become part of your hand. And I haven't looked on my carpet in a long time. When I first started watch repair years and years ago, I used to be on my hands and knees looking for springs and screws and all kinds of shit. And I realized that, there's probably a better way of doing this, where I don't have to be on my hands all the time. Hands and knees. I felt like what's her name? The Prince or the, what's that TV show? It's the movie. It's Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. I felt like Snow White with my mean aunt yelling at me while I was trying to find watch parts. So anyway, and a shout out to a gentleman who contacted me. I won't give you his name, but he's a 787 pilot, and he's into watch repair, and he gave me some pretty funny comments. And he said that I asked him, I think it was a 24-hour dial. So he said that the 24-hour dial, let me see if I have one of these here. There's a 60-minute dial. Looking around here. Oh, there's a 24-hour dial. So he said it's in that old Swiss movement I fixed. I still need to put hands in this, by the way. So this is the fake Swiss movement I did some repair on. But he said that this 24-hour dial, let me focus in on this a little bit. I'll put my glasses on to focus. He said the 12-hour dial, the 12-hour numbers, and usually there's numbers, okay? Just pretend there's numbers. See, those are for Americans because they can't count beyond 12. Canadians have a 24-hour dial because they don't know the difference between night and day. So I thought that was pretty friggin' funny. So I had to tell my wife that joke immediately and take credit for it, of course. So I think that's all she wrote. The dial washer I have is new, so I don't need to worry about that. Oh, and I had the boys told me what these were for. Didn't buy these. I actually had them. I got so many tools, but those are basically double roller cutters. So those are cutters. So it's really good if you're doing jewel setting and stuff, or just trying to cut into metal. Is that it? Should I turn this off and shut up? So that is the cleaning. So this watch will not be reassembled until I fix all these jewels. So that's going to be the next step, is the jewel hunting. So this was the cleaning and the chat while cleaning. So I'll publish this one as part 2. And that's pretty much all she wrote. I may make a starting hello video for it, or I may just publish it the way it is right now. So we shall see. Anyway, thanks for watching. I just did a basic cleaning there. I already cleaned the lower part of the case because I took this and I went into my I did this, I shined this up, I got rid of a lot of the dirt and did a good job on this earlier. And I think I'm going to go down the basement and see if I can polish this guy up. That'll be fun. And I do need to, this is a plastic crystal. I'm going to look and see if there are any scratches on that crystal, because I'll use some light chemical. I think this is plastic. I believe this is plastic, yeah. So I'll use some light, I'll use a poly watch on that just to get rid of any scratches. And if it's a glass crystal, go back into my glass polishing compound. I've mentioned this a few times, but this stuff is amazing. GP Pro glass polishing compound. So if you have glass and you want to polish it, final polishing of blemishes on glass. So this stuff works like you wouldn't believe. So you got to watch when you press the bottle, because this is a soft bottle and you can spout out a whole bunch of crap onto your hand, which I obviously have done. So anyway, I'm also going to Rodico the dial, right? So I can basically Rodico the dial very carefully, and get as many marks off the dial as I can possibly get off the dial. I think I told you I was going to shut up, didn't I? Just hang on a sec. All right, no time like the present day. So, because the next job is going to be the jeweling job, and then see if I can source a mainspring for this watch, or if it doesn't run well enough. But if you look at that dial, that's the before, right? And I'm going to just do some Rodicoing on this. So let's just get a close-up of the dial. You can't really see all the dirt, but there's a lot of dirt on this dial. That's the before. Oh, I got someone at the door. I'll be back. So Christmas time again, I got the holder for my Dremel tool. So when I mount my Dremel tool for polishing, I got this holder from China. Actually, I got it from Amazon, and that allows me to hold. This is holding a drill, but it's made for a Dremel tool, really. So you can hold the Dremel tool with this and put it at all different angles, and then I can do some fine polishing with my Dremel tool using two hands. So again, cleaning the dial off by hand, using Rodico, because you can't. Rodico will bend if you put pressure on it, so you can't put too much pressure on the dial doing this. But you don't want to crack the dial, so you want to be very careful while you're cleaning the dial, and make sure that you move this lighter fluid left over out of the way so I don't breathe it in. It's hard to use the lighter fluid and also breathe. So if you got any bad breath happening and you're wearing a mask, it comes right back at you. It's COVID breath, I think it's called. Anyway, so you can just scrape off a lot of the dirt that's on the dial with Rodico, and it comes off nicely. So I find this works better than soaking it in anything. So you could probably soak it in soapy water, but really you don't know what's going to happen to the numbering. So it's very dangerous to put this in any kind of liquid that's got any kind of chemical, because you don't really know what's going to happen to the numbering. And it's not exceptionally bad to have it a little bit vintage looking, but it's good to have it nice cleaned up as well. So I cleaned the dial up. I've done this before, but trying to clean the dial up with, you've got it you got it all together, right? I've done this before where the hands are in the way and you're trying to remove the last fingerprint on the dial, and it's a real pain in the ass. So you're better off just cleaning the dial up when you're cleaning the watch and getting rid of all the dirt or whatever that's on one side of the dial. And when I use my new soldering machine that's going to come in within the next couple of weeks, I'll be very careful, because the soldering machine I think it's like 150 volts and 2 amps or something like that. It's pretty high amperage in watts, so you don't want to electrocute yourself with this. So it's a big ass transformer inside this thing. That's all it is. I could, being an electrical engineer, I could probably make one of these things, but it would probably take me the equivalent of $500 worth of time to make a soldering machine. So that's really nice. Yeah, that's nice. That's looking pretty shiny. When I get little blotches like that, I use my fingernail. Once again, see, the fingernail is once again good for using on watches. So you can take a piece of pegwood as well, just for the rims here, and just go around the edge nice and gently with the pegwood, and that gets rid of some of the dirt. This is a double sunk dial, so I've got this here, it sinks down one and then it sinks down again. So I think that's called a double sunk dial, but I'm actually removing little pieces of dirt. I can see it coming off right from where the two dials meet, and so this watch face will look really nice. So I got to be so careful when I use that paint, though, just that I got to use the paint in one hair. That's all I have left in my head anyway. So I'm going to use the paint and a hair and apply the paint to the dial just enough so that you can't see the dial chips that have come off. Now, if you sent this to a dial restoring company, they could do probably a pretty darn good job making this dial look brand new again, but that would cost the gentleman a fortune to do that. And I don't restore dials. There's companies that'll actually restore dials. So this is not a super high-end watch as well. So if this watch were valued at like a couple of $1,000, then maybe, if this were like a $5,000 watch or even a $2,000 watch, and you really wanted to restore the dial, you could send it away to do that. But in that case, you're better off just buying a brand new dial, because you can often find new dials for pocket watches. Look at that. I'm liking my own work. It's terrible. It's like laughing at your own jokes. Same thing. Just looking up here to see there's some smudgy stuff right there. If I go with the crack, it'll catch the dirt. That's pretty good there. So there we go. That's too much light. I need to adjust my just give me a second. I'm going to adjust the focus on, or the video. There, I darkened it up. As you can see, the dial looks pretty darn good. So all I need to do now is put a little tiny bit of paint in there, in the hole there. You can see that those two marks will virtually disappear. I could do that on camera right now, I guess. Let's see what happens. Now I'll do that later. I'll get into my painting mode and do that later. So anyway, that's the video for today. Thanks for watching. I'll be jewel hunting, like removing these settings, and then seeing if I can find the equivalent setting for these particular broken ones. So the top two that were on the bridge here were significantly broken. So I don't like the fact that these two jewels here were badly marred, and you couldn't really see it on the top, but when you flip it over to the other side, you could, if I just show you that angle there, you can actually see the cracks in the jewel. So that was pretty shitty. Anyway, this watch has got more jewel work than I've ever had to do in any individual watch. So there you go. So thanks for watching again, and stay safe, and hopefully some of my stupid dialogue isn't upsetting to you. No more jokes today, though. Thanks, bye. Alright, one last thing I need to do before this is a wrap is actually clean the hairspring and the balance. So I am going to unscrew the balance here, the hairspring stud from the balance bridge, and that's my new name for balance bridges, by the way, as I told you before. I've got it in my Wash-O-Matic watch cleaner, Excuse me. The big cough. That's going to be a huge audio thing on your TV. And I'm not going to reassemble this until I've done the jewel problem. Until I fix the jewel. Up. Easy boy, easy boy. It's not quite off yet. Or I think I have something stuck in my throat. So that hairspring was still in the regulator. So let me just grab this balance with the hairspring and get it the heck out of the way. So just twist that around. There it is there, so I can just take that off. And I have to take off the... Got to unscrew the jewel caps on these things. And I want to do is just rinse this balance in lighter fluid. So I did this before where I can put the base down here. Just throw that down like that. And I just take this and place it in my dunker tank. And then I'm going to just rinse the whole darn thing off with lighter fluid. I'm using a lot of lighter fluid today, but so be it. And I don't need this in here anymore, so I can move my dunker tank out of the way. Now normally I would take that and test it, but I don't need to test it either. So I'm just going to fill this up with lighter fluid, just like that. And I'm going to let this sit for quite some time, for maybe half an hour, and then I'll take that out and hang it up to dry. I'll just put it aside so I can just take the spring and agitate it a bit, move it around just a bit. And the lower pivot is protected by that piece of leatherette on the bottom. So I think it stabbed it because it's moving up with the balance. And I just want to make sure that this spring doesn't stick together. I just push it a little bit from the side to see if it is adhering to anything, right? And then I know if it's getting stuck together at all. So I'm just going to tap it like that, and I know whether there's an issue with that. So there it is. It's in the bucket, and I've got the balance bridge over here off to the side. I want to look inside. I want to unscrew the bridge on the top. I want to unscrew this and see if there's an issue with the with this jewel here, the upper balance jewel, to make sure I don't have any issues with the upper balance jewel, because it's in order for the balance to work perfectly, the jewels need to be impeccable. Yeah, I can actually see through this thing too. So, but I'll do that, all my uncapping, in another video. So this was the cleaning video. So I'll do that later, uncap that, look at the jewel, try to find another jewel and all that stuff. So that's it. That's done. D-O-N-E. I also need to take this arbor out. All right, talk to you later.